Let's call this meeting to order. We'll note the presence of a quorum with all commissioners present. I'd invite you to please stand. We'll begin with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome guests, staff, visitors present with us here this morning. First item would be approval of the agenda. Dave, any?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, no additions. We did have some additional information for regular agenda item number 7. And just note that that supplemental agenda request noted the consent agenda, but it's actually regular agenda number 7.
Good clarification.
Wow, that was quick.
With that being said, would entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Sample approving the agenda. Support? Support. Supported Commissioner LaVisca. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Agenda is hereby adopted. On to citizens' public comment. Are there any public comments this morning? Yes, sir. If you could just state your name.
Yep, Tyler Stevens, my address, 10515 306th Avenue in Princeton. Here to comment on the EAW vote that'll be for the RV park on Elm Island Lake. No, I commented and had a lot to say a month ago, so I just want to add in a few things, especially in response to, in the agenda, the information that the EAW Review Committee's comments. Two things in particular. Number one is a stormwater basin plan and the stormwater management plan. I know this is not a Q&A open response, but I appreciate if there's any clarification. The wetland at the bottom of the lake, in the engineering plans, the elevation is between 1,231 to 1,232 feet. In the wetland delineation report, there is standing water a foot below the surface, which puts the water table there generously at 1,230 feet. The stormwater basin is not nearby, it's not 100, it's not 50 feet away. It is immediately next to the, sorry, apologize here. It's immediately next to the wetland. The bottom of that stormwater basin is 1,229 feet. That puts that a foot below the water table. My concern being that is not an appropriate volume of a stormwater basin to appropriately account for the stormwater runoff. In addition, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and as I've highlighted in my comments I submitted last month, says the stormwater basin needs to be 3 feet above the water table, which means at best there's a 4 foot, that stormwater basin is 4 feet below the water table, or 4 feet below what the Minnesota Pollution Control requirement is. And I know the EW Review Committee notes in their comments to my submitted comments that, well, we had an engineering firm that reviewed and assessed the accuracy of the plans. But as I included in my comments, that engineering firm consulted on a EAW last year, and when it was appealed, found that they were inappropriately recommending that an EIS was not needed due to insufficient and inappropriate recommendations. It's great to have the consultants, and I appreciate when there's experts that can speak. I'm a pharmacist. I love when people consult with me and I see patients in clinic when they want my expertise. That being said, it's the counties as the RGU that makes the decision. And so with that information, I would ask that we just make sure that we are making the appropriate decisions. And I would similarly ask the engineering plans. I've been consulted that I could file a complaint with the engineering board due to the concerns I brought up with the engineering plans, and would just hope that we are looking at accurate plans and that the engineers, similarly the county is going to stand by the recommendations. I would hope that the engineer would stand by the recommendations. The other concern I want to highlight is with the bluff. I know that's been an ongoing point of contention. A lot of the frustration coming from our end is that there's been a lot of back and forth and trying to get clarification on, we've got a certified survey, why is there not a new certified survey? Only after I filed a Freedom of Information Act request and specifically called out the Minnesota rules and statutes and regulations that defines what a certified survey is, only then did the county reach out to the proposers for that survey. When that was then submitted, it is signed 2 years after the alleged survey was conducted, which I don't know what the statute of limitations is, but that just seems off to me. The date of the survey was changed. In their EAW, they state the survey was done on September 23rd. I feel they changed the date to August 22nd, in part because I included pictures in my request that shows there is brush piles at the bottom of the hill where the toe of the bluff would be, both before and after September 23rd. What I did not include in that, but I do have included here pictures today if you would like, is that hillside. There is still fallen felled trees that were not cleaned up on September 4th. Go look at our property, we're right next to them. There was dozens of trees down. It would have taken some time to clean up. In addition, with that Freedom of Information Act request, there is an email from the project manager to the survey company that requests they conduct requests that they can do their bluff magic again. I can only assume, thank you, I can only assume what that is requesting when we have a previous certified survey and there's now a point of contention about whether or not this hill is a bluff. And as I said last month, 29-30%, that does not eliminate, so 29 and 30% grade, that does not eliminate the risks for erosion with this project. So when we look at that email, changing the date of the survey, picture evidence of trees in the hillside, which I don't know how you can be surveying when there's dozens or so trees on the hillside yet, a week and a half after the alleged survey was done. You know, it's just a point of concern for me, and I appreciate you guys listening, and I will look forward to the discussion here in a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Other citizens' public comment. Are there any other comments or requests from visitors? Last call. Are there any further comments or requests from visitors this morning? Hearing none, we will proceed to the consent agenda. Commissioners?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Carney approving consent. Support?
Support.
And that motion is supported by Commissioner Sample. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Consent agenda is hereby approved. On to County Engineer John Welly. Welcome, John.
Morning, John.
Thank you and good morning. First item this morning is just asking for a resolution to authorize me to sign a DNR grant agreement, agreement number 291464. This is a grant agreement. You haven't seen this before. This is for a Glen Township Bridge project. 001-599-048 is the project number. As always, we are assisting Glen Township with replacement of their current structure in Rabbit Creek, which is not a bridge structure. It's just two small 3-foot culverts. However, they are undersized, and this replacement structure is large enough to be considered a bridge, so we are helping Glen Township with that project, like I said, as we always do. The unique thing about this project, and the reason that I'm bringing this agreement to you that you've never seen before, is DNR is participating in the cost of this project. Typically, our township bridge projects are just funded through the local bridge replacement program and the town bridge program, both of which are administered through MnDOT. DNR now has a grant program available to help pay the costs of bridge projects. Basically, the reason that they are getting involved in providing funding is that their permitting process has gotten tougher to get permits for the structures in their protected waters. They would like to see structures be wider than they are. Historically, you take a natural stream, and when it goes under a road, the culvert is much narrower than the natural stream. They have concerns with that, so they, through their permitting, they're trying to get us to put larger structures in to more closely match the width of the natural stream, just to improve, all of the environment for everything that's in the water. So to kind of mitigate those increased requirements, this grant program came about that they're sharing in the cost of some projects that meet certain standards. So they approached Glen Township actually with this program and said we'll offer 25% of the cost of the project if you adopt our geomorphic culvert design approach, that's the name that they've put to it, essentially it results in wider culvert structures. It also results in more than one structure. A typical crossing, we just have a main structure that carries the water. What they want to see is an additional culvert or culverts placed at a higher elevation further away from the main culvert, just so that during high flow events, as the water increases, there's more flow, over a wider distance. It's all just to try to get the flow characteristics under the road through the culverts to more closely mimic natural flow conditions. So that's their grant program. As I said, this is kind of a first. I think the whole program is fairly new. The 24-page agreement that's before you, I think, was being drafted. It's not an agreement that's been used a lot before, so it's been it was kind of a work in progress. It took a while to put the agreement together, but the agreement is there. They're offering to pay 25% of the construction cost, but I do need a resolution to authorize me to sign that agreement.
Commissioners, you've heard the request, barring any questions.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion for approval on the floor to set effect by Commissioner Sample.
Support.
Commissioner LaVisca supports. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Thank you. Second item, for a lease with the DNR on property that they own in Section 3 of Piney Township. Back in 2011, we received a lease. It was a 10-year lease at the time from the DNR on a 38 tract of land within that Section 3 for the purpose of mining aggregates. There's a pretty good aggregate deposit down in that area. So in 2011, we had been actually working on it since probably 2008 or 9. It took us a while to get the lease in place, but we finally did get the lease in place in 2011 to open up a gravel pit down there. A lease was issued to Aitkin County. It wasn't an exclusive lease, but it was, DNR had the intention of only issuing us a lease. And then if anyone else wanted to get into the pit for use of the aggregates, they had to go through our lease, through a third-party lease agreement. That was kind of the first of its kind that DNR was experimenting with that sort of arrangement as opposed to what they had done previously and just entering into numerous leases with numerous entities for the same pit area. So that all happened in 2011. We're on the third renewal of that lease, and that's what's before you today. The latest lease that they're proposing, the lease periods are getting shorter. The initial one was 10 years. The second one was 5 years. This one's only 3 years. It's pretty much the same language. The lease payments, the royalty amounts have changed significantly. Initially, the initial lease was just $1.25 per yard for aggregate materials. The second lease, it went up to $1.35. With this lease, it's going up to $2.36. So it's going up substantially, but it still is very much within the realm of what royalties are being paid elsewhere on private properties. They were just low for a lot of years, and it took them a while to catch up. So the lease, again, I've got the resolution before you to authorize me to sign the lease. But the other thing I wanted to cover before asking you to approve the resolution is that because we don't hold an exclusive lease. There's nothing in the lease that says we have any sort of exclusivity. However, the way the DNR operates it, that's practically what happens, is that we have the only lease, and anyone else that wants to get a lease has to go through us, through a third-party lease agreement. So what we have done because of that, that represents administrative costs. We had our initial cost of developing the pit. We had to build almost a mile road into it. So to recover those initial costs and our ongoing administrative costs, since the beginning of the lease back in 2011, we've charged a 30% increased royalty fee, and that, so on the third party leases, they paid the lease amount that was in our lease, but then they paid an additional 30% that would stay with the highway department just to help us cover our initial cost and our ongoing administrative cost. So we, over the years, over the 15 years that pit has been in existence, we have entered into 6 third-party leases with 4 different contractors, primarily for road construction projects, state highway projects, and county road projects. It is the main source of aggregate down in that area, so it's whenever there's a big project down there, it typically comes out of this pit. Since the beginning of this lease, we've mined close to 500,000 tons of material out of that pit. About half, a little over half of that material has been for Aitkin County's use. We put material up every other year down there for aggregate surfacing for our numerous gravel roads down in that area of the county. Slightly less than half of that total amount has been through these third-party leases. So we have, over the years, we've generated just slightly less than $70,000 in that additional royalty cost that's helped offset our costs. With this lease, because the lease is going up so much, it's going up from 135 to 236. We're proposing to lower that percentage from 30% to 20%. So that'll under the 30% and $1.35 a ton, we were getting $0.289 per ton. Under this agreement with a 20% amount, we'll be getting $0.337. So if we would have stuck with 0.3, it would have just been more than was necessary to cover our administrative costs. So that's why we're proposing to change that from 30% down to 20%, and that is included in the resolution as well, that we will be charging that additional 20% on third-party leases.
Commissioner Sample?
John, are the townships also getting any of the gravel out of that? Does that come out of the county, not a third-party lease? I'm asking because when I was a township supervisor for Jevony, a big part of our budget was gravel on our gravel roads.
So no, there have not been any townships that have utilized our lease to get their gravel. Most of the townships down in that area of the county are smaller townships. Most of them, hire a private contractor to maintain their gravel roads, and most of those contractors use their own private sources. There are other private aggregate sources down in that part of the county. They're just smaller, but that's where most of the gravel for the township roads comes from, is just private sources.
And I know gravel is slowly getting used up. We'll be going outside the county and down the road.
Yeah, and even one of those pits that the townships use is getting depleted. So we anticipate as time goes on that there may be more requests for townships to utilize this source as a aggregate source for their roads. We're not quite sure how we'll manage that yet. We may do like we do in other parts of the county, where we just put up additional material, their own stockpile, when we're in processing a stockpile.
Okay.
And they have their own pile, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess.
All right, thank you.
Any further questions? If not, you've heard the recommendation. A motion would be in order.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner LaVisca. Support.
Second.
And that motion is supported by Commissioner Westerland. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Thank you. Final item. It's been a few years since I've talked about the McGregor roundabout project on Trunk Highway 65, Trunk Highway 210, and County Road 8. Back in late 2023, if you recall, I think it was September of 2023, we were scrambling to put together a transportation economic development grant for that project. We were working hand in hand with MnDOT at that time. MnDOT actually did a lot of the application, but the parameters of that particular grant program wouldn't allow MnDOT to be the grant applicant. It had to be Aitkin County, so we were working on the grant application for that roundabout through the Transportation Economic Development funding program. We initially brought a resolution to the board at the first meeting in September 2023 we had a resolution that stated a bunch of things that we needed for the application, but one of the things that was in the resolution was that our local cost for that project would be $225,000. We realized that that was an error. This application was being put together very quickly against the grant deadlines, so the numbers were changing. Within the following week, we realized that number was wrong. MnDOT asked us to update the resolution, which we did at the second meeting in September to reflect a $350,000 local cost for Aitkin County of that project, which at the time was estimated around, I think, $3.5 million. So we submitted the grant application. We were able to get it in. The following January, we got notice that we received the $2.1 million grant that we were requesting. So since that time, MnDOT has been working to deliver that project. The costs now have gone up substantially. I see MnDOT's, I'm not sure exactly what their latest cost estimate is. I see on their website they say 5.3 million. I thought I heard 4.1 million somewhere as well, so I'm not sure what the actual final estimated cost is, but they're trying to get all of their funding in place for bid opening on December 2nd of this year for 2027 construction. As part of that, earlier this year, MnDOT updated their local cost participation policy, which changed the amounts that, the local amounts that are owed when MnDOT does a joint project with a county. So that $350,000 that we thought was going to be our local cost back in 2023 has increased to $392,000. That's just, like I said, based on the updated cost participation policy. The way that's figured is it's 0.8% of our net tax capacity. I think it's our adjusted net tax capacity. So with a net tax capacity over the 5 years of 48.9 million, our individual project maximum is 392,000. So that's how our cost was calculated. This should be the final cost. I'm not sure if it will be adjusted based on what the bids come in at or not. But they needed us to pass this resolution reflecting that $392,000 cost, like I said, just to wrap up all of the funding prior to their December bid letting. I should clarify that even though we received the grant, this has always been a MnDOT project, so we're the grant recipient, but it's MnDOT's project. They're doing all the work on it. They've done all the design work. They'll do all of the construction work on it. We're just providing the grant and then providing our local $392,000 match towards it. So just need this resolution approved reflecting that updated $392,000 amount.
Commissioners, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion, but I got some questions afterwards.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor approving by Commissioner Sample. Support?
Support.
Commissioner Labisca supports. Discussion. Commissioner Sample?
John, when they do that roundabout, that's one of the busiest intersections in the county. What are they gonna do for bypasses? Have they worked that out yet? I mean, that's probably the main concern I hear out there in my district.
So the latest I've heard, and again, it's not our project. It's not one that we're involved with on a weekly basis. But the latest that I've heard is this. Basically, anytime you do a roundabout project, it pretty much takes a construction season because it has to be phased in 5 or 6 different phases to get traffic through and to build the roundabout. So this project is no different. Like I said, they're anticipating opening bids in December. I think they want to get a early summer start on it. My understanding is that they are going to maintain all movements of traffic through the roundabout during construction, with the exception of, I forget if it's stage 4 or 5 that's will occur, depending on the construction progress, but late into July, possibly into August for a 4 to 6 week period. During that phase, they'll have to detour Trunk Highway 65 traffic. So both northbound and southbound Trunk Highway 65 traffic will be detoured onto our County Road 62 and 71. All other movements through the roundabout during that stage will still be accommodated. It's just the northbound and southbound Trunk Highway 65.
And when they deter that, they'll already be done with our construction project on 6271.
Yeah, we changed our schedule on our project a little bit. You know, we were going to, initially, we were going to be, well, just to back up a little bit, we're under contract right now. Gladen Construction is right now, as we speak, building County Road 62 and 71. That
And they're
was
doing a great job.
$2 million project we awarded earlier this year. That project should be complete here within a month to 6 weeks. We had originally planned to place bituminous pavement on those roads in, late 2027. We changed our schedule a bit to get the bituminous paving of those roads done by July, by the time the detour is in place. So we're going to be, hopefully later this year, awarding a contract for bituminous paving of those
That was
two
my-
roads to be done by July when the detour goes into place.
Okay, that was one of my concerns. And my other one is the other detour I see that they would take going north would be Simpson Road. And that's a township road, am I
Well,
right?
that's County Road,
That's a county road?
County Road 73, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be other roads that get some traffic, but, we'll deal with it.
I get it.
You always do.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. On to Environmental Services. Andrew Carlstrom, welcome, Andrew.
Yes, good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Beautiful morning.
And Andrew and Dave, if I may interject, could you just give a brief little history as to what led up to the action on the board today and what happens afterwards?
Yes, absolutely. So this has been long time in the running, and it kind of has my timeline of events here. In April of 2025, the proposer brought to Aitkin County the Elm Island Lake RV Park proposal. And on April 30th, the Minnesota EQB received a environmental assessment worksheet citizen petition with 179 signatures. The Environmental Quality Board determined that Aitkin County is the responsible governing unit. On May 19th, 2025, the Aitkin County Planning Commission tabled the conditional use permit pending a decision for the Aitkin County Board requiring an EAW to be completed. The EAW Review Committee met on June 2nd of 2025, and after review made a recommendation to request the county board to require an environmental assessment worksheet. On June 10th, 2025, the Aitkin County made that decision to require the proposer to complete an EAW. And on June 16th, the Aitkin County Planning Commission tabled the conditional use permit application until an EAW was completed by the proposer. From January to May of 2026, this year, Aitkin County staff and the EAW Review Committee reviewed, discussed, made recommendations for edits to the proposer. Independent engineering consultants were employed to review this EAW, and a licensed archaeological inspected the proposed construction site. On May 5th, 2026, Aitkin County Environmental Services received the final draft of the EAW for this proposed RV park. In accordance with Minnesota Rules, Chapter 4410, on May 12th, the Aitkin County Board approved the EAW for distribution. A 30-day public and agency review written comment period began on May 19th and ended on June 18th. A copy of the EAW was sent to all persons on the EQB distribution list, and a press release announcing the availability of the EAW was published in the Aitkin Age, as well as on the county website, as well as in the EQB Monitor. The EQB Monitor edition, May 19th, 2026. The EAW Review Committee met finally on June 24th to review, discuss, prepare responses to the 13 total written comments in accordance with Minnesota Rule 4410, 1700, Subpart 7 criteria. And that's why we're here today, the criteria. The criteria out of Minnesota Administrative Rules states, this is Minnesota Administrative Rules 4410, 1700, Subpart 7, in deciding whether a project has the potential for significant environmental effects, the following factors shall be considered. A, type, extent, and reversibility of environmental effects. B, cumulative potential effects. The RGU shall consider the following factors: whether the cumulative potential effect is significant, whether the contribution from the project is significant when viewed in connection with other contributions to the cumulative potential effect, the degree to which the project complies with approved mitigation measures specifically designed to address the cumulative potential effect, and the efforts of the proposer to minimize the contributions from the project. And C, the extent to which the environmental effects are subject to mitigation by ongoing public regulatory authority. The RGU may rely only on mitigation measures that are specific and that can be reasonably expected to effectively mitigate the identified environmental impacts of the project. And finally, D, the extent to which environmental effects can be anticipated and controlled as a result of other available environmental studies undertaken by public agencies and the project proposer, including other EISs. So that is what the EAW Review Committee met. That was the criteria that we, as the EAW Review Committee, looked at to determine if this proposed project, as planned, could create a potential for significant environmental effects. We also had a public input meeting during the written comment period, and many attended. That was on June 9th of this year. County Board held a courtesy public meeting at 10 a.m. We weren't required to do that, but we knew there was sufficient interest in this potential project, and so we did that. Very fruitful meeting. And so here we are today, the EAW committee is making a recommendation. So I'll go ahead and read the summary of this first item. The Elm Island Lake RV Park proposal is to create a seasonal 16-site residential planned unit development, a common interest community, individually sold 16 sites in Nordland Township on the northeast side of Elm Island Lake. A discretionary environmental assessment worksheet was ordered to be completed by Aitkin County in 2025 and was completed by the proposer in accordance with Minnesota Administrative Rules, Chapter 4410. If the recommendation from the EAW committee is accepted by the county board today, the proposal will proceed to the Aitkin County Planning Commission for another public hearing and a request for a conditional use permit. And that's the mitigation measures we can put as a county on this proposal. Attached are the EAW Review Committee's findings of facts, conclusion, and order, as well as written public comments. There was 13. We had good participation. The EAW Review Committee's recommendation to the Aitkin County Board today, and it's only a recommendation to approve that we have received sufficient information
plan as proposed does not significantly increase the impact to the environment and that an environmental impact statement is not required. So that is where we are looking at today. That is the timeline, the history. Mr. Chair, is that sufficient?
Very, very good, Andrew. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect. So, so at this point, if you have any questions, the final findings of facts of the EAW Review Committee, which met on June 24th, 2026, we've answered all the written comments that were put in here. The professional engineer, he replied to some comments, so his comments are in there as well. I want to note also that many of the notes that are provided on the Appendix H of the 350-page document are helpful to understanding. And so I guess recommended action, motion at this time, motion for the county board to accept this recommendation from the EAW Review Committee. And again, this is only to approve it to go to another public hearing, to go to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission will mitigate, and to make a negative declaration on the need for an environmental impact statement. You know,
Great clarification, Andrew. Commissioner Sample?
I got a couple questions for you. If it gets approved today, next hearing is the Planning Commission.
Yes, sir.
Now, I noticed a lot of questions that we received in the board packet had the committee would defer to the DNR wildlife, the DNR public access, the hydrologist, okay? Here's my question. When it goes to the Planning Commission, you guys can put stipulations on this project.
Yes, the planning condition can in place conditions.
Conditions
Yes,
that
sir.
have to be met,
Yes,
and the concerns can be addressed
yes,
with stipulations on a permit.
yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any further questions? Dave?
Mr. Chair, and Andrew, on those comments that Commissioner Sample was referring to that did defer to some state agencies for review, would the Planning Commission seek out their input before making that decision?
Yes, they'll be notified, and if they so desire to put in written public comments, they probably will be in attendance as well to that Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you.
Mr. Fry.
Good point, Dave. Thank you. Commissioner Sample?
No, I was just asking if he was talking about Mr. Fry from the DNR.
Yes, and then also if I can, Mr. Chair, if I can bring your attention to number 9 on the final findings of fact of the EAW Review Committee. Number 9 says, as part of the conditional use permit process, the Aitkin County Planning Commission has the authority to attach conditions they deem necessary to protect public health, safety, and general welfare of the people and environment. Conditions such as solid waste disposal, stormwater runoff, campsite fire rings, sewage treatment, etc., can be placed on the permit if approved.
Good clarification. Thank you, Andrew.
Yes, sir.
And then, Mr. Chair, one follow-up question. When it gets done at the Planning Commission, it has to come back to the board,
Yes,
For
for final.
approval.
Yes, yes.
right?
Yes, so part of the Planning Commission meeting will be requiring a preliminary and a final plat done. And that'll be done by the proposer's surveyor.
Are there any other questions? If not, you've heard the recommendation. A motion would be in order.
Chair, I'll make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Carney approving the recommendation. Is there support?
I'll support.
And that motion is furthermore supported by Commissioner LaVisca. Is there any further comments, questions, or discussion?
Mr. Chair, I think that moving this forward is our best way to get like we said, the state agencies' involvement and input in the process and figure out what other conditions we need to be met while continuing moving the process forward and continuing to make sure that we're meeting all of the requirements to meet our environmental impact.
Well said.
Any further discussion,
I got one other thing here, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner?
So every 5 years, I'm reading this letter. It says every 5 years, the conditional use permit is good for only 5 years, or is this permanent?
This is permanent, as long as they maintain their conditions. You can see my response. That's in red. Comment noted by committee, questions not applicable for potential for significant environmental effects of the proposed. Section 11.03 General Zoning Ordinance, a conditional use permit shall remain in effect for so long as the conditions agreed upon are observed, and such use has not been expanded, intensified, or changed, or be reestablished if discontinued for a continuous 12-month period or more.
Well, and they own the property. Each person will own the property.
Right.
Yes.
So it's kind of hard to say that in 5 years, you got to come back and. So,
Any further discussion? Dave?
Mr. Chair, a question for Andrew. So there are two actions, an A and a B, and there's a motion. Can you just explain the difference between the two actions that the board is considering today?
Yes, absolutely. So this first action today is just a motion to approve that we've received sufficient information to address all environmental impacts, that there's going to be no significant environmental impacts. That criteria from Minnesota rules 4410.1700. That was the criteria the EAW review committee looked at and measured and went and made their recommendation to you, the board, today. The second action is simply to approve a resolution on the negative declaration for an environmental impact statement for the Elm Island Lake RV Park.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Andrew.
Yes, sir.
Further discussion? If not, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion's carried. And on to the resolution, Andrew?
Yes. And if I may read the resolution, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the title of the item, Adopt Resolution on Negative Declaration of an Environmental Impact Statement for Elm Island Lake RV Park. The summary of the issue, the Elm Island Lake RV Park proposal is proposing to create a seasonal 16-site residential planned unit development common interest community in Nordland Township on northeast side of Elm Island Lake. A discretionary environmental assessment worksheet was ordered to be completed in by Aitkin County in 2025. It was completed by the proposer in accordance with Minnesota Administrative Rules 4410. I'm respectfully requesting a motion to adopt the proposed resolution for the Elm Island Lake. And it reads as follows. Resolution determining a negative declaration on the need for an environmental impact statement, EIS, on the proposed Elm Island Lake RV Park. Whereas a citizen's petition requesting the preparation for an environmental assessment worksheet for the proposed residential planned unit development of Elm Island Lake RV Park was submitted by Tyler Stevens on April 30th, 2025 with 179 signatures. The petition was verified by the Minnesota Environmental Quality Board and was assigned to Aitkin County as the RGU, the responsible governing unit, to decide on the need for an EAW on April 30th. Whereas the proposed Elm Island Lake RV Park includes 11.13 total acres, of which 5.81 are usable acres. The proposal includes 465.29 feet of shoreline on Elm Island Lake, which is classified as a recreational development lake, located in Nordland Township, Aitkin County. The proposed project would be developed on portion of Lot 1, Block 5 of Keller's Addition on Oriole Avenue. The developer, Russell Sampson, is proposing to create a 16-lot recreational vehicle park of individually owned lots in a common interest community, a CIC. Whereas on June 10th, 2025, and upon the review of the proposal consideration of the project to potentially create significant environmental effects, and at the recommendation of the EAW Review Committee, the Aitkin County Board of Commissioners approved the citizens petition and required the proposer to complete an EAW due to the findings below. And they were: the committee agrees that the proposal will increase stormwater runoff. More detailed stormwater pollution prevention plan needs to be in place. And they have addressed that concern. And number two, the committee agrees that the proposal will not affect erosion and soil stabilization, and a more detailed erosion control plan needs to be in place. The EAW Review Committee believes they have addressed that with the EAW. And number three, the committee has safety and usage concerns of this riparian development. The EAW Review Committee believes they have addressed those concerns. Whereas on May 12, 2026, Aitkin County Board approved the signing and distribution of the completed EAW. The EAW was distributed to those required under Minnesota rules, Chapter 4410, and public written comments were received for 30 days from May 19th to June 18th. On June 9th, the Aitkin County Board held a courtesy public input meeting to receive further in-person comments from concerned citizens. Whereas upon the conclusion of the 30-day written comment period, Aitkin County has gathered all comments, discussed, reviewed, and is now providing a recommendation to the Aitkin County Board. Below are the Aitkin County's written response to all timely and substantive comments that were received during the 30-day comment period. The EAW Review Committee responses are as follows and are in accordance with Minnesota Rules, Chapter 4410.1700, decision on need for EIS. Subpart 7 criteria. And these were summarized, and many of them shared the same concerns throughout the 13 written comments. Concerns of 16 septic holding tanks within the proposed RV park. The committee states that the septic design and installation will be in compliance with state septic rules and the Aitkin County Subsurface Sewage Treatment System Ordinance. The Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry will complete inspection on water lines and septic lines throughout the RV park during construction and upon final completion. The plan as proposed does not significantly increase impact to the environment. Concerns of additional boat parking with only 6 mooring slips allowed in a 16-site RV park. Concerns that Elm Island public access cannot accommodate additional boats and parking. Comments noted by the committee. Anticipate CUP conditions, conditional use permit conditions, will restrict boat parking only to docking slips. The committee would defer the present condition of the DNR public access on Elm Island Lake to the DNR hydrologist and Division of Ecological and Water Resources. The plan as proposed does not significantly increase impact to the environment. Concerns of a proposed 200-foot long permanent dock on shoreline and construction impact to the lake bottom. The committee understands this was a recommendation from the DNR in order to get beyond the emergent vegetation and reduce aquatic impact. The committee would defer further dock concerns to the DNR hydrologist and Division of Ecological and Water Resources. Concerns of a private RV park road built quality. Concerns of parking spaces for additional vehicles and concerns of emergency vehicles operation in the RV park road. The committee would refer to engineered plans found in Appendix H of the EAW. The site plan as proposed is for no overflow parking. Anticipate a condition, a CUP condition of 2 vehicles or 1 vehicle and 1 boat per site allowed. The committee concludes that proper planning and mitigation are included in the EAW to adequately address potentials for erosion, and no significant environmental effects are present within this proposal. The EAW was reviewed by independent engineer consultants, WSB Engineering. The plan as proposed does not significantly increase impact to the environment. Concerns of erosion, the committee concludes that the proper planning and mitigation are included in the EAW to adequately address potential for erosion, and no significant environmental effects are present within this proposal. The EAW was reviewed by independent engineer consultants, WSB Engineering. The plan as proposed does not significantly increase impact to the environment.
And Andrew, just, this is all printed.
Okay.
Would the commissioners be satisfied with just a brief summary of the subsequent concerns?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Concerns of the riparian development. So that, again, the committee concludes there's no significant environmental effects with that, anticipating about a 14% potential usage increase on the estimated 600-acre lake. Obviously, most likely, the committee agreed that not everybody's going to be there at the same time, So that was excessive riparian development. Concerns of stormwater runoff, deficiencies, inaccuracies, and insufficient storm basins depicted on the engineer plans. So again, the committee finds there are no significant environmental effects impacting stormwater runoff. There was a lot of professional engineer eyes looked at this, at the stormwater basins. The bluff status, the committee finds that the current signed certificate of survey dated June 23rd is sufficient, that there was a contour analysis completed on the ground by a survey crew on August 22nd of 2024. Concerns of mosquito control, insecticides, yard and lawn pesticides, wastewater overflow, guest park. The committee finds there's no significant environmental effects. Again, some of these concerns can be brought to the Planning Commission. Concerns of native vegetation clearing impact. And again, we refer to Appendix H in the notes. There is one sheet just dedicated to vegetative screening and Appendix H of the engineered plan sheets. So the committee concludes as presented, presents no significant environmental effects. Towards the last here, require a full environmental impact statement to be completed due to riparian and wildlife disruption, wastewater and runoff risks, and cumulative impact. And again, the committee would defer to the Wildlife Division. And again, the 14% potential usage increase on the 600-acre lake of Elm Island. Plan as proposed does not significantly increase impact to the environment. DNR concerns of a water appropriations permit, that was, the DNR brought that up. And we'll let the proposer work with the DNR on that. But the committee wasn't concerned with that as far as water usage. The DNR concerns requesting more information about soil types. The committee noted the soil differences, and the committee, again, will defer for the proposer to work with the DNR. DNR requesting additional information, and we'll let them work with the proposer to work with the DNR. And then the DNR concerns requesting refinement of the proposer's protected species avoidance plan. The committee agrees that the protected species avoidance plan located in Appendix H adequately mitigates disturbances to the blanding turtle and northern long-eared bat. Additional avoidance of environmental impacts to these species can be addressed with the COP. Now, therefore, be it resolved, Aitkin County Board of Commissioners agrees in recommendation to the approve of this record of decision for the Elm Island Lake RV Park, noting that an environmental impact statement is not required for this project. Back to you, Mr. Chair. Sorry that got so long.
No, very thorough. Thank you, Andrew. Commissioners, barring any further questions, you've heard the recommendation and the motion would be in order.
So moved, Chair.
Motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner Carney. Support.
Support.
The motion is supported by Commissioner LaVisca. Any further comments, questions, or discussion?
Mr. Chair. just to
Commissioner LaVisca?
Clarify a couple things with Andrew. So we've got multiple instances there within this EAW where we're gonna have physically involved Minnesota DNR Wildlife, Minnesota DNR Hydrologist, Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and Minnesota Department of Labor. They're
Yes, sir.
physically going to be involved with this project.
Yes, sir.
And if we've learned anything trying to get projects done over the last few years, they do not overlook environmental impacts. So I'm comfortable moving forward with them being involved.
Further discussion?
And my other question is, Andrew, even after all of this is done today, it goes to the planning commission, then back to the board. And if this thing's approved all the way through, when you have a concern, you get a concern to your office. If it is a DNR, then that concern is forwarded to the DNR. And if you do not follow the conditions put on by the planning commission, that whole project can be stopped. Right? Am
Yes,
I
sir.
understanding this right?
Yes, sir.
That was my only question, Mr. Chair.
Any further discussion? If not, we'll,
I just have a
Commissioner
question.
Westerland?
So I don't know how it can be stopped when they own their own property. I mean, what, you mean as far as the project being done?
Established.
Established.
Okay, during this whole, before anybody's there? Or
Yes.
purchased land, okay. I
Yes,
just-
ordinance allows us to, if they do not abide by their conditions, I read that earlier, conditional use permit shall remain in effect for so long as the conditions agreed upon are observed and such use has not been expanded, intensified, or changed, or be reestablished if discontinued for.
So this would be a part of their HOA also, probably?
Yes, HOA conditions will be, yep.
That's, Mr. Chair, that's what I was gonna kind of say, like, the individual private owners of lots would also have to abide by any conditions put on this project. Correct.
Yes.
The question has been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Resolution is hereby adopted.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Andrew.
Yes, thank you,
Dave, for your
Commissioners.
comments.
Thank you, Andrew.
On to Health and Human Services.
Thank you all for your involvement through all this.
It's not over.
Nope.
Welcome, Sarah. Welcome, Jessica.
We've got a long journey.
I think it's in August.
That one's the 20th, right?
Oh, I thought it was in August, I don't know.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna let Sarah drive the clicker for me, because I'm gonna read my notes off of
We
my
don't wanna
computer.
know.
I don't know that I wanna share, but
I know,
I
it's crazy.
This is federal stuff coming down, so we do have to share, and we wanna make sure that you're informed, as our governing body. So, I'm here to present the HR1 federal changes, so specifically the impacts to Medicaid and SNAP. Medicaid is known by a couple names, medical assistance, Medicaid. It is not Medicare. We don't do that here. So, first a little level set. So what is the HR1 bill? This bill is known by a couple of different names. Officially and legally, it's the Public Law 119-21 or House Resolution 1, HR1. It's also commonly known as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act or One Big Beautiful Bill. This was signed into law on July 4th, 2025, and it covers a large quantity of items: tax policy, border security, energy production, defense, air traffic control, agriculture, and healthcare and safety net programs. And I'm here about the healthcare and safety net programs. This presentation focuses on the significant changes coming with Medicaid or medical assistance and SNAP. I will probably use acronyms. If it's a second language to me, I'm bilingual. I speak financial work and I speak English. If you don't know if I said it and you don't understand it, please stop me. So the presentation overview, I'm going to go in this order, is the SNAP program, the impact of the SNAP program. And I put the state statute and the federal codes that require us to issue these benefits and the impact to medical assistance, along with that state statute and the federal codes. And then the last slides that we're gonna have is the impact specifically to Aitkin County, but you'll see a little bit of that interspersed. So impacts to the SNAP program. This is a high-level overview, and I'll get into more detail. So we're gonna see our SNAP benefits increase more slowly for recipients. We will see an expansion of work requirements to be eligible for SNAP benefits. The state share for SNAP benefit costs will be impacted. And I put the statute, Minnesota statute regarding what our percentage is and the state's percentage. And then federal administrative funding reduced, so what we receive to administer the program. SNAP Ed funding was eliminated, and the non-citizen SNAP eligibility restrictions. And I put in there where I cited the information from, specifically from the Department of Children, Youth, and Family.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner?
Can I interrupt for a minute? The expansion of the work requirements, and I understand that it's volunteer and work. Okay. Who decides, or how do we monitor that? When we already say that we're flooded with more than what we can handle, who takes that on?
That would be us for SNAP. It will be us.
It will be the financial workers.
So we're just gonna throw more on your plate.
And you'll see that more in depth, Commissioner, as we move on.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
I was,
yes.
just when you look at that, I'm like, oh, okay.
Lots more info to come.
And
So I put a little,
Mr. Chair?
Oh, yeah.
Just to comment or expand on Commissioner Sample's question, there's the work requirement, which is an additional burden, but there's also more frequent verification,
Yes.
which adds a significant amount of work as well.
and that also impacts medical assistance. And my presentation will get into that. They're kind of two separate big things, and their timing is a little bit different. So I put a graphic in here about SNAP benefits increasing more slowly. This is going to be now tied to, rather than to inflation, it has to be no cost share, like they can't increase the cost share. It used to be based on inflation to the food prices. So that won't be happening anymore. So we'll see a reduction in SNAP benefits for our recipients. And this has an impact in our local economy as well, because our grocery stores, our farmers markets, food retailers, the people that deliver food are all impacted by SNAP benefits decreasing. So our farmers are greatly impacted by that. And I don't need to read all those graphics for you. So the expansion of the work requirements, specifically to SNAP. So the work requirements are expanding for adults from age 54 to age 64. So when people were 55 and older, they did not have a requirement to work to obtain SNAP benefits. Now that's moving to 65 and older. Parent exemptions were narrowed to households with children under the age of 14. Previously, it was for people that had children under the age of 19 or 18 in the household. Exemptions removed for veterans, homeless individuals, and children aging out of foster care. Geographic waivers were reduced to those experiencing 10% unemployment rates. Aitkin County has historically been a waived county to these work requirements due to our geographic location and our unemployment rate. We have a large portion of seasonal employment in Aitkin County just due to where we live. So we see that fluctuation back and forth, unemployed, employed. And then expanded to the American Indians.
Commissioner Carney?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I want to interrupt real quick. Can you explain what is meant by exemption removed for veterans, homeless individuals, and children aging out? What does that mean?
Yeah, so people that served in our armed forces didn't have to have work requirements. They were eligible for SNAP. Individuals who were homeless also did not have to do work requirements. And children aging out of foster care at the age of 18 didn't. So we think about the veterans, that one's easy for us. They served our country. It seems like
Sure.
they should be able to get that. Homeless individuals, it's really hard to be employed if you can't shower regularly, if
Right.
you don't have a phone, a steady address. And children aging out of foster care, they don't have the parental support
Right.
that the rest of us may have had growing up.
So they are now required to have these
To
work
show
requirements.
proof.
Right.
But how do these children aging out of foster care, how do they do that? Because as you're well aware, and I am too, that when a foster child ages out, that families, they can just cut the tie right there, and these children have nowhere to go.
Right.
If there's not been a plan, hopefully there is, but in a lot of circumstances, they're not. The check's gone. It's not their responsibility anymore. It sounds rough, but that's the truth. That's real world.
It is real world.
Okay.
Yep.
So now we're saying that these kids are they're out on their own now. There's no one to help them, and now they have to show that they have a job. They may not have a vehicle, they may not have a house,
They might be in school.
They might be homeless.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They have a home, so you're throwing that whole group right into homeless.
Yep. They now have to show they have a job. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And please know this is all effective as of November 1 of 2025. So these things are already.
They're already happening.
Correct.
yes.
Correct.
Thank you.
So, potential impacts to this, increased documentation is required for our recipients, and the eligibility workers are requesting more information. And then a loss of benefits for those not meeting exemptions, so those vulnerable populations.
I guess you just made a lot of recruiters happy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these kids have no choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I did it,
Yeah.
so.
Yep. The next one, now we're getting into some big dollar stuff here for us. States must share the SNAP benefit costs. So what this means is, so I'll just go into the changes. So this starts as of October 1st, 2027. 2027, yes. Had to think about that. We've got all sorts of dates going on here.
That's right.
States may be required to pay between 5% and 15% of the SNAP benefit cost based on their federal program or their federal payment error rate. So this means the amount of SNAP that we issue, that's what we're talking about. So it's based on our error rate. So if we have a payment error rate below 0, or below 6%, below 0, I don't think that's possible. Then it's a 0% state match. Obviously, that is the goal. The payment error rate of 6% to 7.99% is 5% state match. 8% to 9.99% is a 10% state match. And 10% to 15% is a 15% state match that we are required to pay. If you have a payment error rate higher than 13.34, you're exempt from the match for 2 years while you figure it out. So
Jesse, is this countrywide?
oh yeah, yeah.
Is it all the same for everybody else?
All of the territories,
Okay.
DC, everybody, yeah.
Then my question to you is, when we talk about error rate and the match, okay, does that impact us more as being a poor and a small county and an aging than, say, St. Louis County that has Duluth? And you know what I'm saying is that error rate, does that
Percentage,
Population?
Well,
percentage-wise,
percentage-wise, yes.
It's based on the performance across the state, but I think it's hard for smaller counties because we have smaller case numbers. So sometimes our number can get inflated. If we have 1 or 2 cases that might have an error in it, then, we can most often go to a 21% error rate based on 2 cases. But this what we pay is based on the state of Minnesota.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying, we have fewer cases versus St. Louis County that has Duluth in them, where if they have 20 cases that you had an error rate in, that moves that needle very little. We have the same 20 cases, we could be up in the higher real quick compared to St. Louis or St. Cloud or Seven County Metro.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
If I might, Chair.
Commissioner Carney?
Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, AMC is currently working an initiative to even postpone this further, to get further clarification, and possibly stop this. Is that not correct?
The hope was, that would happen last session. It didn't. We are hoping to bring this back in next legislative session, but this is really a federal change.
Right.
So the only hope would be that the state would take on more of this cost shift. And at this time, that has not happened. And so the only hope is to go back in next session and ask for that to occur. But at this time, it is going to hit us starting October 1st of 2027, and we are budgeting for it.
And I'm sure it's going to be discussed at NACO next week. So,
I would say this is a hot topic across the country. So going on to the next part, and Commissioner Sample kind of is trying to steal my thunder. He's very knowledgeable about this stuff, so I appreciate that.
every dog has its day.
So, so the impacts. So for federal fiscal year 2025, the error rate was just released for the state of Minnesota, and sadly, it is 12.58%.
Insane.
Which increases the fiscal pressure on state and county budgets. So the impact directly to Aitkin County based on a 2025 error rate, and this is worst case scenario, so I just want to throw that out to you. The Q4 2027 levy impact is $55,834, and the 2028 levy impact is $228,139. So DCYF is the one that interpreted that previous statute that I had, that states and counties have a 50-50 share of these costs. However, the legislator does have an opportunity to make adjustments on that. And that, I think, is, what AMC is really pushing at. So in what Commissioner Sample said earlier, in federal fiscal year 2024, Aitkin County had one error, and it was worth $128. And that gave us a 21% error rate for $128. And in 2025, we had 0 errors. So we have a 0% error rate. It is a discrepancy between larger counties and smaller counties based on how many cases are pulled. Now, do we want to have 1 million cases pulled? I don't have 1 million cases to pull, so that wouldn't work. But it is a challenge, and client errors are also counted as part of this. It's not just our errors; it's also client errors.
In small counties, in the larger counties, are they on the same playing field? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're all having to pay that average of that error rate of 12.58. So based on that, then we have to pay a 15% cost shift,
Right.
which is what those numbers show. So in 2027, we budgeted for 15%, and that's what we put for 2028. Now, they can choose the lowest of the error rate. So the next error rate will come out in June of 2027. If that's lower, the state could decide to go with that error rate. However, we can't bank on that, so we need to budget for
Right.
the 15% that we know now.
One mistake.
No.
Wow.
But fortunately, we wouldn't get 21% of our budget. It would be the same across the state.
It's the same across
based
the
on our
state.
issuance.
Sure.
So The bad news is there's 14 states and territories in this situation of 15% or higher, or 15% error rate. And there are 7 states and the District of Columbia that are higher than that. And there's no difference really in county administered versus state administered in the error rates. In fact, county administered is just a tiny bit lower in errors. So that's not really a push. I would say there's a couple of reasons why we saw some increases in error rates in Minnesota in the last couple of years. And one is the outdated system. We're still working on a DOS-based system. I'm sure many of you have seen the news reports and presentations about this. Delayed implementation of simplified processing. After COVID was all done, the Department of Human Services, DCYF, rolled out a lot of processes that they were delaying, which caused a lot of changes all at one time for all of the workers to learn very quickly, which results in multiple errors. And the churn of the workforce statewide. We've had a major reduction across the state in eligibility workers. So federal administrative funding reduced. Here's another big one. So the federal reimbursement for the SNAP administration, so that's our staff time, was reduced from 50% to 25%. And all of the federal reimbursement for SNAP outreach activities ended. So the federal government would pay 50% of our work, the work that we do, to us as a reimbursement to issue SNAP benefits. That's being reduced to 25%.
How much does that increase your budget, Sarah?
Well, here it is.
Yeah, so you can see the 27 levy impact is 144,000. Now that went into effect October 1st of 2026, federal fiscal year. So we did budget some of that in Q4 of 2026, and that was about 59,000. So that 143 does include that 59,000. So based on federal fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
And as you can see, Minnesota estimates a loss of $37 million annually for the administration.
And that includes counties. I mean, that's all the county put out.
So this is a loss of revenue. So this is a
Right,
reimbursement that we used to receive that now we are receiving less revenue.
And it sucks that the federal government goes
Make up some
October to
scams,
October. And we go January to December. So when they change that and their new year starts in October,
Yep.
it's affecting this year's budget plus next year's.
Yeah, so we really have to pay attention to that when we're looking at these things because of federal fiscal year.
Right. So the next slide that I have is that SNAP Ed funding was eliminated. This was an education program for nutrition education, obesity prevention, healthy eating programs, and Minnesota estimates a loss of approximately 9.5 million annually.
Was that the free lunch, the free meals at the school?
No,
No?
that's a different program completely.
Okay.
That's through the Department of Ed, but that's a good question. And then the non-citizen eligibility restrictions. So SNAP is now, as of March 1st, 2026, limited to the non-citizens listed here, the lawful permanent residents, Cumulative Haitian entrants, and then citizens of Micronesia, Palau, and the Marshall Islands. So Aitkin County does not have an impact.
Where's the Marshall Islands?
Oh, it's out in the ocean.
I know, but like
I believe Southeast Asia.
It is
southeast, okay. And they wonder why there's so much mental health problems. I mean, people can't deal with this.
It's a lot, yeah.
It is.
How do you guys stay safe?
Not sure that we are, Commissioner.
I was gonna say, that's the first time Sarah and I have been accused of that.
You're a Twins fan.
So now moving on to the impacts to medical assistance, if the SNAP stuff wasn't enough. So this is what I'm going to review, who will not be impacted, because that's easier than who will be impacted. Non-citizen eligibility changes, work requirements, 6-month renewals, retroactive coverage, new cost-sharing requirements, delay and rollbacks in federal enrollment simplification rules, and then increased enforcement of error rates.
I got a dumb question.
No such thing.
When you get somebody disabled, okay, and I understand their medical stuff. What about their spouse that stays home and takes care of that individual? Now, we could say that's a burden on society, but in reality, they're saving us a hell of a lot of money by not going into a home or hospital or nursing care that we pay a lot more money for. Do they take that into consideration?
Yes-ish. It depends. It really depends on the situation. I would let Sarah get into the home and community-based services.
I don't want to
portion,
take away from your
but-
brief, but I'm just
yeah.
sitting here looking at all the things that are affected.
Are you talking more eligibility for medical assistance
Yeah,
or?
yeah, I'm talking about.
Yeah, we would look at their income very differently. How we do calculations for those that are age blind and disabled is very different for those that are under 65 with no disabilities.
No, and I get that,
So-
but if their dependent stays with them, which saves us a lot of money on the other end.
Yeah.
Income and assets.
Okay, thank you.
That's what we'd have to look at. So population of who will not be impacted by these medical assistance changes. So the most current enrollees that will not be impacted unless they have a change in status would be those covered under a basis of disability are age 65 and older, are age 20 years old and younger, are pregnant, or are American Indian or Alaskan Native.
Don't figure.
How does that work? Don't we all want to be treated the same? Sorry.
So non-citizen eligibility changes as of 10/1/26. Only non-citizens age 21 or older who are not pregnant with the following immigration statuses will be eligible for MA. So this greatly reduced, and it's that same group that I mentioned in the SNAP population. But a little note, children under the age of 21 who are lawfully present and people who are pregnant regardless of their immigration status will still be eligible for MA. And there's a reason for that. Healthy pregnant women bring
Have
healthy
babies.
babies, and that will save us money in the long run. Currently, to our knowledge, no impact to Aitkin County at this time.
So like Jesse said, this is greatly reduced, but she's just showing who will qualify that are non-citizen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So MA work requirements and 6-month renewals. Some adults with medical assistance, this starts 1/1/27, so right around the corner. Some adults with medical assistance may need new work reporting and community engagement requirements to be able to get medical assistance coverage. Some adults who get medical assistance will have a renewal every 6 months instead of once per year. So the population impacted by this are those age 21 to 64, those who do not live with their children who are under age 19, are not pregnant, and do not have a MA-based disability.
So extra work for you
Yeah.
every
Yep.
6 months.
And the clients, and those that meet
to do
those
all the paperwork.
criteria. Yes,
More chance to have an error.
Yeah.
every time you
Yep.
make a change on a case, yep.
Wow.
So here's the impacts of those two. MA work requirements, increased number of uninsured, I missed something there, increased number of uninsured individuals, which impacts providers and those who are insured due to price increases. And just a heads up, DHS is working to contract a vendor to do a portion of this work, do the work requirements. Now, if they get bounced, like flagged that it's not matching data, then we will have to manage that, so.
Excuse me, question. Who's responsible for the error?
Well, that would be us,
Okay,
so.
so that's a dice we're gonna roll. Yeah.
6-month renewals, increased reporting will cause a churn of enrollees losing and reapplying for their medical assistance. So, increased paperwork for our clients and for us. Increased workload for the county, and the percentage is currently unknown on this. I have sent a request to DHS, as have all of the counties, asking for the numbers that are going to impact each county, so we can do some kind of a deep dive into how this is gonna impact our work on a monthly basis.
And now you're increasing the chance for error twice a year versus once a year.
Correct, yeah.
On the other side, we might catch fraud a little bit more quickly too, so. Retroactive coverage. So, this starts 1/1/2027, and I'm gonna go over the federal law. The retroactive, oh my goodness, easy for you to say. Retroactive medical assistance coverage will decrease from a maximum of 3 months to 1 month for adults ages 21 to 64 who do not have dependent children, are not pregnant, or don't qualify under a disability basis. Otherwise, it's retroactive coverage of 2 months for the other populations. So the Minnesota legislature did vote to continue the 3 months of retroactive coverage for 1 more year. So Minnesota is covering that. So that means we have a reduction, the reduced retroactive coverage will be implemented January 1st of 2028. And I think there's a couple different reasons for this. It's to help our providers who have emergency situations come in, to help people get those applications in right away if they're not covered for medical assistance, because now they have 3 months to get that paperwork in. It's going to be much more urgent now that they get it in quickly. So really some of the big concerns with this is an increase of medical debt if the application is not submitted timely, especially concerning those major medical situations, helicopter flight, goodness gracious. Increased financial hardship after hospitalization or emergency care, and a major impact to our healthcare providers due to unpaid medical debt. And in the past, when these situations happened, there was a tax for those that were insured. It was called the Minnesota Care Tax. This was prior to the Affordable Care Act, and that could begin again. I don't know if that will happen, but. All right, new cost sharing requirements. This change will happen 1/1 of 28. It imposes a cost sharing on the medical assistance expansion adults who have income over 100% of the federal poverty level, not to exceed $35 per service, and no more than 5% of the family income. And the same group as who would be affected. And this is an increased hardship for impoverished populations.
I don't mean to interrupt you again, but I got another question on this. This just blows my mind. We say who was affected, people between 21 and 65. What happens to the people that go on Medicare that don't have, all they have Social Security, and let's face it, a lot of our residents in Aitkin County either logged or farmed, and they didn't pay in the Social Security, and they get hardly anything to live on. And they have that basically 80-20 coverage.
So if they're certified disabled through Social Security.
But if they're not, if they're just reached that 65, they're past
65,
that.
that population is not impacted by these changes.
Nope.
So they're still status quo.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, this is just for the 21.
I just want to, and I get
Yeah.
that, but I'm like, we keep talking about 21 to 64, but I know a whole lot of people in Aitkin County that get minimum social security, by the time they pay their taxes, they pay their food, they don't have that 20%.
They still have us. We're still here to help them.
All right, lots of love.
That's right. Increased enforcement of error rates. This is coming 10/1 of 29 for federal fiscal year 2030, which is crazy. The change is going to tighten the rules for states with excessive MA payment errors. Under existing law, states can face reduction in federal funding when errors exceed 3%. The bill narrows the federal government's ability to waive those penalties. So our current error rate is 2.1%.
Is most of this work done on the green screens you have?
Medical assistance is both. That's in our MET system and Maxis.
So now when that changes, if and when, I mean, like, that's probably gonna be 2028 or later.
I hope
Who
it's that
knows?
soon.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You just don't know.
Right. Yeah. So here comes the summary, the total impacts that we have coming. At this time, we know the fiscal impacts due to SNAP changes only, so I just want to be clear, this is specifically to SNAP. We don't know the MA information yet. Our 2027 levy impact, $143,784 for the SNAP administration. That's that revenue that we received for doing the work.
And remember, some of that has already been budgeted in Q4 of this year, but.
The state's share of SNAP benefits costs based on error rate. So Q4 of 2027 levy impact is $55,834. 2028 levy impact, $228,139. The state did approve a one-time county appropriation to help counties in 2027, and we received $43,208.
Wow.
So while they're generous.
That was
Santa
for,
Claus.
yeah, that was for the SNAP administration funding reduction. I think the state needed about $36 million to offset counties, and we got about 11 million, so that's our portion for.
But it still impacts our budget even after taking that 43,000 away.
So for 2027, just down and dirty math, we're looking about 355 plus thousand.
No, $156,410.
Oh, I'm taking
For-
all of them.
Oh, that's 128 though.
No,
So-
yeah, that's our total for all of them of 2027 is 156,000.
Yep. With that deduction that the state, that appropriation that
Okay.
we received from the state deducted. So,
2028 levy is huge or big.
Because we're seeing some of these come in the last quarter of 2027. So a lot of these cost shifts that we're going to be talking about aren't hitting a full year of 2027. 2028 is going to be a different story.
They really don't care about our seniors.
so staffing impacts, increased complexity of programs cause errors, constant changes result in staff burnout and errors, and increased tracking due to work requirements and those 6-month reports that are going to be coming. So dollar impacts, staffing impacts. Sorry for the not great news. Are there questions?
We knew it was coming eventually.
Here, I thought when you came in that door, I seen
all the
your
answers.
smiling face, I seen Santa Claus come in here. Now you're leaving as a grim reaper, bringing in this bad news.
It's just like when I stand behind somebody who's changing a password, I'm the angel of death. It's just terrible.
But we still love you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the briefing.
Great job.
Any questions, commissioners?
What do you think of the non-emergency transportation issues we're gonna be having? Is anybody going to that meeting tomorrow?
In Duluth?
ARDC?
I can't, I'm an AUA.
I was not aware of it until this morning, so.
Yeah, I hadn't received that email yet until this morning either.
I can forward it to you.
Is that the one that Amy sent out yesterday?
Yeah, Amy sent it out yesterday.
Yep. Yeah, word.
Did you get that email?
Not till like late
Last night. Yeah, that's when I got it.
But this, I mean, I think there's some of the communication between Amy and the board and Sarah and me is inconsistent.
Right.
Okay.
So those stuff will go to commissioners, but not to us, and so we're trying to figure out how to best stay in the loop.
Yeah.
So if
It's
you-
hard because.
Yeah. So if you do receive those, if you think that it's something that Sarah and I should be included in, please forward it.
If I don't see your names, I normally always try to, not only on this,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I do,
anything that-
I do too.
Thank
No,
you.
and I appreciate that. And can I share one macro perspective on this SNAP thing?
absolutely.
So overall, the fiscal impact of these changes to SNAP are about a 20% cut, or $187 billion over 10 years, which, good for the government to be saving money, maybe. About 90 billion of that 187 billion was just shifted to the states and counties. So it really isn't a savings. And so at the end of the day, our staff, Jesse's staff, is having to do more work to distribute less benefit to fewer people, costing more money. That seems like a step backwards.
Well, and my question is, what you just said, Dave, was that shifted to the state and the county. How much of what was shifted to the state, as budgets get tight down there, are they gonna shift to the county and our staff?
They have.
But
Yep.
it could probably be bigger, understanding the mindset down there.
All right.
And-
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, who's it affecting? It's affecting the people we represent. That blows my mind.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Excellent presentation, thank you.
Thank you.
Wish there was
Sorry
more
I
good
took up
news,
so
but
much time.
No.
It's just a big discussion.
Hey,
item.
lot of
I just
stuff.
keep having this
A lot of stuff.
hope that you're gonna come through there and say, I have millions to give you guys. I mean, it's a hope.
I would love to come here and say, you don't need my department anymore. Everybody's got food, everybody's got healthcare, everybody's housed, everybody's good. That would be my dream. don't
You
need
must
my
live in
name.
Canada then.
Yeah. I think they got their own problems.
Yeah, I
Yes.
believe that's true.
I have one question for you. With all the work added to the staff, how are they holding up? I worry about that. I worry about
A lot of stressful summer,
them
fall.
when they come to work and they get more dumped on their plate.
The constant changes a lot. And it's not just my team that experiences
I mean, it's
that.
the whole,
It's-
I get
all of
it.
HHS is getting a lot right now of changes and it's constant. So they have some change fatigue, I would say. We're working on it.
thanks, Jesse, thanks, Sarah. On to facilities, welcome, Jim.
Morning, Jim.
Good morning. Well, hopefully some of the stuff I get to talk to is a lot more fun than
Je-
what Jesse had to talk about, so. First of all, update on the Health and Human Services building. All the floor tile that I had rejected, has been reinstalled. The wall tile is installed. Bathroom partitions are back in, toilets are back in, floors coated. That is behind us. That's complete. I was actually just texting with the tile company, and they're coming up to get all their leftover floor leveler and all that stuff to get it out of there so we can get that cleaned up, hopefully tomorrow. So getting that done. We received our testing and balancing report, which is airflow and water flow for the heating and cooling system. I received that last Friday, forwarded it on to the local inspector. He reviewed it over the weekend. Yesterday morning, he had a couple of questions. He sent those back to me. I forwarded them on to the mechanical engineer. And literally right before I came up the steps, I got a response from the mechanical engineer. He seemed good with all of the data that had come back. So I'm hoping as soon as I hear from the local inspector, we should be able to get an inspection tomorrow, which is for a temporary CO. certificate of occupancy. So that's what we're waiting for to get people moved in. The reason it's a temporary is we don't have the final handrails. We have temporary handrails up. The handrails are roughly 6 weeks out, but we have temporary handrails that will suffice for that time so we can get opened up. That's not an uncommon thing because you can't order the handrails until you get your final cement done outside. And so, yeah, that's pretty common. And the local inspector is aware of that. So I'm hoping as soon as I get back to my office, I will see something with him giving us a time tomorrow when he's going to come and do that final inspection. We had talked last week already, and I asked him if he could keep something open this afternoon or tomorrow, and he said he had a lot of time available tomorrow, and he was going to try and keep some space open for us. So that is my hope, but I will know more hopefully this afternoon as to when that inspection is. With that being said, we'll get that inspection, and then as soon as I have the temporary CO, Sarah and I will get together and we'll start making plans of when we're going to open up to the public. I'm anticipating probably the middle of next week by the time they can get some messaging out to their clients, and we get everything moved over and set up so that we can get the client-facing staff in there before we open our doors. So that is kind of the plan. It looks good. As I had said in my update on my last email, I'm not happy that we got delayed because of that floor tile, but it was the right decision. It looks like they look like completely different tile floors. They look really good. So I'm glad we did it right out of the gate, get it taken care of, and we can get people moved in there. So any questions on the Health and Human Services building?
How long do we have the leases for our offsite? Are we still good with that?
1st of August. And actually
Pretty close.
it's going to be really tight, but I actually had talked within the last 2 weeks, I've talked to the landlords from both buildings, and they said if you need another month, we can, neither one of them have anything planned to come in right after it. I said, well, our plan is to get out of there as soon as possible. So as soon as we can get people in, I would say it's going to take us probably 2 days at each place to move all of the furniture and stuff out of the buildings, and then it'll probably take us a couple days at each place. VFW, we might have to re-wax floors. I'll see what they look like once we get everything moved out. I want to leave the places looking better than it was when we moved in. So we'll do a final clean in both buildings. Shampoo carpets at the other building, that type of thing. So yeah, we will. My plan is to be out of both of them, do a final mowing of the lawn, weed and whipping right at the end of July for them, and then be out. So that is the hope. So,
Great job, Jim.
yeah,
good job.
so that's a good thing. Next, I was just going to give a quick update on the fair that just completed. That was, I would say we had about average attendance. Wasn't great, wasn't bad. As the days got hotter, the amount of people on the grounds got less. Saturday was pretty sparse in people until the rodeo started, but it was warm, very warm down there. But it was a good fair overall. Nothing, no big problems, anything like that. Grounds kept drying out every day as the fair went on, but if we didn't have rain at the Aitkin County Fair, it just wouldn't be a fair. So they are moving, got everything pretty much cleaned up down there, and now we are getting prepared. Long Lake has their Nature Rocks concert there this Saturday night, so that we'll start setting that up Friday afternoon. Stage will come in, things will be getting set up. As of this morning, they have around 850 tickets sold.
Wow.
And there's probably, I'm guessing, another 150 to 200 tickets out there for, if people sponsored, they were able to get a couple tickets with sponsorships, things like that. So we're hoping to get in that 1,300 people on the grounds this Saturday night for the concert. So that'll be a good fundraiser for Long Lake. So If you can make it out, it's Saturday evening, gates open at 5. Long Lake is doing something really neat this year with that. This week right now, they have kids up there, they're doing a band camp.
They are.
They are teaching the kids, just giving them introduction, how to write music, how to read music, how to do some songwriting, things like that. They've got a couple of musicians from the area coming in to help each evening, and then those kids will perform right at the beginning of the concert. So it's kind of a neat thing that they're going. And actually, I was in a business on Saturday, and one of the parents in there was talking about her 2 kids that were going to that concert and how excited they were to be at the band camp and the instruments they were hoping to play. And so, yeah, it sounds like that's a good thing to get the kids involved.
Yep.
So that'll be a good thing. Last thing would be the buildings that I had approved over the last couple meetings. Still waiting for the extension from FEMA. We are the way everything was proposed. Everything was approved at the board meeting with the contingency that we need that approval from FEMA to get started to issue the contracts. All the contracts are ready. They're sitting there waiting to be sent out as soon as we get that extension. With that being said, at the next meeting, we may be bringing forward to just do the removal of the old building, depending on what I'm hearing from FEMA, just so we can get it moving, because our highway department has to get in there, finish tearing out the cement. They've got to get all their dirt work done. We have to get everything prepped to get that building set up there. So I may bring that back, but if I can hopefully we get that extension in the next 2 weeks and we don't have to worry about it. So, but that's where we're at. The contractor that is doing the demo has called me a couple times and is like, I can start tomorrow. I'm ready. I said, I know. So, but I've been in contact with all the contractors. They know what the situation is. They know that we're just waiting. The only thing that I have done is I have given the okay through email for the plumbing HVAC contractor to get their stuff down to the state to get their review. State has to review the plumbing before it can go in. If it gets reviewed and it's okayed and it doesn't go, we're out at cost of a permit. That's all we're out. But that sometimes can take 6 weeks, so I wanted to make sure that piece of it was moving forward. So, but yeah, otherwise I don't really have an update on it. As soon as we see that FEMA extension, you'll see things happening over there. So,
Progress.
yeah, it's moving. So, but that's about it. Like I said, not nearly as serious as what Jesse was talking about. So, that's a good thing. So, any questions about any other facilities stuff at this time?
Commissioners?
No, good job.
Thanks for the updates, Jim.
All right. Thank you. Have a good
Yeah,
day.
thank you. On to a large assembly permit, David?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we have received an application for a large assembly permit from Forgotten Heroes Ranges and Retreats. Commissioner Sample is the executive director of that organization.
I will be abstaining.
The county sheriff, county attorney, and environmental services director, along with the township, have all signed off and reviewed and signed off on the application. There are 2 conditions that I think the board should be aware of. They have requested a waiver of the fencing requirement, and the board can acknowledge that, with the sheriff being responsible for review of the safety and security plan. He has indicated that that's acceptable. And then the applicant has proposed providing a certified check in the amount of $25,000 versus a performance bond, just due to cost considerations. And the county attorney and county auditor have reviewed that and believe that is an acceptable alternative.
So those 2 covenants would be part of the proposed resolution. First of all, a waiver of fencing. Secondly, a certified check in lieu of performance bond.
And Mr. Chair, I neglected to note that the date of the event is August 1st.
August 1st.
Mr. Chair, if I may add something, because I'm not voting on this, because we asked for the waiver of the fencing, where you're doing wristbands, different colored wristbands for everybody, so the security that's out there will know if you don't have a wristband to include the volunteers and the security staff, if you don't have a wristband, you gotta go.
So all bases have been covered. Commissioners, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
I will make that motion, Chair.
Motion for approval, as stated, Commissioner Carney, support.
Support.
Commissioner LaVisca supports. Any further discussion? Hearing none by roll call vote. Commissioner Westerland,
Aye.
Commissioner LaVisca.
Aye.
Commissioner Sample,
Abstain.
Commissioner Carney.
Aye.
I will support the motion. The motion passes on a 4-1 vote with one abstention. That's Commissioner Sample. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brenda.
Okay, she's taking a deep breath right now. She didn't have to get up there and speak.
Oh, does she want to? Come on.
I think she told me in the elevator,
Yeah, I have a
I
question.
hate you if I gotta stand up there.
On to committee reports. So we'll go clockwise. Commissioner Carney.
All righty. Health and Human Services was not, it was canceled this month. We were at the Pine, I'm gonna let the administrator go into more details. We attended the jail, what did you want, collaboration?
Jail collaboration.
Jail collaboration.
It's not a
I'll let him go into
collaboration.
more details. Most of my meetings are start this week. I'll be heading out to NACO on Wednesday, actually Thursday, but down in the cities on Wednesday. And I'll be giving you briefs, doing work as usual, even though I'm at NACO. That's my brief.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sample.
Well, me and Commissioner Kearney attended the Forestry Committee meeting last night, along with our administrator. And the main topics that came out of there is they had a timber auction in person. They offered 16 tracts, they sold 15 tracts. They got a revenue of $199,412.
Wow.
They sold a total of 8,541 cords. 6 different logging companies received tracts. They won the bid. The average bid was 28%, highest being 115%. 8 parcels sold for appraised price, and Aspen pulp and bolts averaged $26 a cord. Low. The other thing that they talked about there, which is something I know this board has been very concerned about, is that Mille Lacs Trail. They've now secured all of the permits for the Mille Lacs Trail. They have to build 2,300 foot of boardwalk across the swamp area. They have 1,500 feet of it already done. And they plan on having it done, the projection is ahead of December 31st, which is when they have that money from the state.
Yep.
They have till December 31st.
Get it done.
And they figure they're gonna have it done by that. And I would like to just kind of give a compliment to DJ staff, because to save money on this project, they're the ones building the boardwalk
Right.
with some help of some of the local ATV clubs.
Yep.
So I think
So,
that's awesome.
I don't think it's just called the Mille Lacs Trail. I think it's part of the Northwoods ATV Trail.
But
Northeast
they
Mille
called
Lacs
it at the
Connector.
meeting
The Mille
last
Lacs
night, the
Connector,
Mille
yeah.
Lacs Trail.
Yeah.
So, and the rest, AIS was canceled. He didn't really have any info to put out. You understand that one, Mr. Chair? That's most of my
Thanks,
committees will
Commissioner.
be the end of the month.
Commissioner LaVisca?
Library board, we started work on budget, just kind of get a consensus among our board here. I'm gonna be pushing obviously for no increase to county input for budget in the library this year. So we'll see how that works out. I've also requested, David and I have been working with the city of Aitkin, on kind of really figuring out what are their legal requirements for the cities as opposed to counties and all that kind of stuff. So I did, Dave, request that we bring in a lot more information regarding statutes and everything that they can track up. And it's not all we've determined really on Carla as the executive director. The state doesn't have answers for some of their questions, as usual. So we'll try to get all that hashed out and get a good budget, again, without a county increase, because that's kind of our goal at this point.
Without a county increase and without a reduction in
Right,
East Central hours.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the goal. So that's what we'll be working
Good
towards.
goal to have.
I also, let's see, yesterday we had a special meeting for the Snake River watershed. We just supported a couple letters of recommendation for some grants for Kennebec and Pine counties. And that was it there. Jet, we did not have this month, so next week I'll have more.
Thank you.
I had, the EAW meeting that we discussed here. I guess we've had enough of that discussion for a while. I had the Rum River Watershed One Plan, in Malacca last week, and it was very interesting. They are so far ahead of all the other watersheds. I mean, we're getting more work done, you know, around Mille Lacs, around the Rum Rivers, all the counties. They're doing a great job. I don't know how they keep up. Anyway, I went to the Pine County meeting with David and Mike on the jail discussion. I believe we're gonna meet sometime again. Also, I hope you all got the email about Enbridge meeting online tomorrow at 4 o'clock from Matt Hilgard. I think it's important that we're all there on that line. So, I think that's all I had.
Thank you. Last Thursday, Aitkin County Water Planning Task Force met. A lot of miscellaneous sundry items. The main event was a presentation by Jacob Fry. That's F-R-I-E.
I thought it was Frey.
Not the Minneapolis one?
Not the Minneapolis one, right?
Are they related?
No, I don't think so, Lori.
Hopefully not.
I'm kidding.
And he's the local DNR hydrologist.
He might be.
So it was a overall rather comprehensive report, presentation on the protection and management of water resources within Aitkin County and beyond. It was a very interesting presentation. Aitkin Economic Development Authority met, and we concluded the CEDA presentations with Maddie Calvin, and they provided a grant. I think it was about $15,000 to the city of Aitkin, plus free labor. Her input, support, and guidance for economic development matters. And among other things, a motion was made and passed to waive the loan application fee for at least the remainder of the year. We had been imposing a relatively minor fee, but just so, you know, you add a little skin in the game there if you're applying for a grant or a loan. So that pretty much concludes. Later today, I've got a Aitkin Airport Commission meeting, and that is to semi-finalize the plans, alternatives for the new terminal building.
Awesome.
So,
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Is that, you guys have to do that to get that federal money?
we've got,
Is that the deal, or do you already have the federal?
we
money?
have the federal money. It's 1.3 million. And this is just to hash out the discretionary options that we have, which is pretty much carte blanche in terms of what the pilots want, what everybody else wants. So there are a couple proposals, and that'll be hammered out. A week from today, or a week from tomorrow, we will have our regular airport commission meeting, at which time we'll finalize the final plan and go out to bids. So it's moving along. Again, I gotta give a lot of credit to Jen Thompson, the city administrator, airport manager, and Nick Grayhack from Bolton and Mink. They really dove into this thing, and I give them a lot of credit. That's pretty much all I have. Anything else, commissioners? Dave, anything?
I'd just like to touch on the fair. Commissioner Carney and I did do the animal costume judging, and once again, the 4-H kids had a lot of creativity. It's really fun to watch, and again, our 4-H was phenomenal through the whole fair this year.
Great group. Motion to adjourn?
So,
Commissioner Westerden moves, Commissioner Carney supports. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. This meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Now we have personnel, Dave?
Yes.
Yes. Now I get to go to my sweatshop.
It's hot, isn't it?
It's gonna be hot in there today. Hey,
I feel
yesterday
for
we were
you.
trimming the grass on the
Have
county
fun.
road,
Mm-hmm.
and we lost the track.
Have
Middle of the
fun.
county
Never had
road.
air.
Oh, no.
You're not
We
listening.
spent 3 hours getting that track.
Everybody's
back.
good?
Yeah.
It sucked.
Did she help you get the track on?
No, she was at election judge training.
Election judge training.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You are very welcome.
You guys have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
If you wanna be part of the system and you want a fair election, get
Be part of the
involved.
system, yeah?
No, I have
Oh,
enough
you're
to
welcome.
worry
I'm glad
about. I
it
have
worked
a
out.
wedding to